Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. It is SCT Sampler Kit unboxing and project time of the month, so I open up my SCT Sampler Kit every month and pull out all the items, show them off, and then I do a project after that. So I hope you'll stick around to the end to watch me use the 6x6 papers in yet another creative way. Let's dive in. All right, here's what these packages look like when they come in the mail. If you're new to these kits and are interested in checking them out, they are a sampling of supplies from current manufacturer, scrapbooking and paper crafting, and sometimes stamp making lines. And these little packages are aimed at all of the above, so you can use these crafty goodies no matter what kind of paper crafting you do. And if you're a 12x12 scrapbooker, I often share ideas of how to put these 6x6 papers to use on 12x12 layouts. Now notice here I am showing off the die set of the month, which always matches our theme word. And there is a die and a shadow every month. And so I found the shadow. At first I thought, well, maybe they didn't do that this month, but no, I just missed it. On the back of our little theme card is the product lines, a list of the different items that we have. I separated them out based on manufacturer. We always have a reusable item besides the die set, and this time we have a stencil from the Vicky Boutin travel collection. I think it's called Where to Next. If I'm wrong, I'll pop that up on the screen. So we have, this is a 3-pack of stencils, so you will get one of those 3, and you can see here on the front the other options in there. And I kind of had wished I'd got the stars because that one is my favorite of this pack, and I'd considered buying it just for that one stencil. So we'll see if I decide to do that or not, because now I'd end up with 2 of these floral stencils. So I don't know. We'll see. So again, I'm going to go through all of the bits and pieces that are included from this collection. We have a partial package of ephemera pieces, and I like the size often of the Vicky Boutin pieces because they come at tend to be a bigger scale, and I find that makes great layering. There's also a partial set of stickers, and I don't know if you're going to be able to catch this on camera, but there is a little bit of iridescent foiling on some of these pieces, and on this particular part, it's just that away we go little phrase, and I think I'm catching it in the light there. So I was trying to show that off. I know it took a little bit of time, but I thought that was an interesting bit. So here is a cut apart from a tag sheet on one side and a solid pattern on the other side. And then we'll go through the rest of the pattern papers. I like this green size the best. I'm not typically a fan of these big bold florals, but they are definitely growing on me, so that's good. And as I sort through these papers, I will often put them face up the way that I think I would be most likely to use them, but that's just me. Everybody has different preferences. Some people like broccoli and some people don't. The same is true with pattern papers as well. This one is actually kind of photorealistic. It looks like a kind of a flat carpet texture, so that was kind of interesting. I used to often buy a lot of Vicky Boutin's collections, but I have obtained quite a stockpile of stuff, so I've slowed down a lot on purchasing new things. So that is one of the things I like about these sampler kits, is that I can get a little taste of the collection and then decide if I really want to dive in and buy more of it. And there's a couple of pieces in here that I really like, so that will help me pick and choose a little bit better about what to splurge on and what to save my money for, or something else. The other paper line, I believe was Echo Park. Again, if I'm wrong, I'll pop that up on the screen with the name of the collection as well. And then you saw me go through a few of the ephemera pieces, and there's also a partial sheet of enamel dots in there. And then here are the papers. Again, a little bit of a travel theme to them with the hot air balloons and such, but I find the other papers pretty darn usable. I really like camera prints, so that one is good for me. I really like the plus side of this. That's one of the motifs that I've been enjoying a lot lately in pattern paper. It's not that difficult or a big deal, but I like it, so I'll see if I can put that to use this time around. This sweet little colorful typewriter print. I'm not quite sure what I would do with the typewriters in general. I'm trying to open up my thinking to using icons that aren't very specific to my story, which is something that's kind of hard for me to do. I don't know about you, but that is something I do struggle with. So these kits can help overcome some of that thinking. So that is what we've got this time around. So like I said, I always do a project, and I have got not only a 12 by 12 layout for you to share some more ideas about getting these 6 by 6 papers used up. And I do have photos from a travel event last year. We haven't been traveling much, so I was a little worried about the travel motif, but I did find some. So not only am I doing a single page 12 by 12 layout, but I'm going to do a double page 12 by 12 layout. So here is what I've got going on with the pattern papers this time around. I am going to create some rays out of this pattern paper. And at one corner, I have measured, and I'm remeasuring to make it a little bit bigger. I think 1 1/4 inch from the corner on each side of one corner, and then down at the other corner, I think I measured 1/2 inch. So that gives me this diagonal ray. Now, that leaves a lot of awkward leftover triangular pieces, which I'm going to put some of them to use on the double page. So it's not a matchy-matchy page, but it definitely has coordination over there. And as you can see me working through this pile of paper, I have created a lot of rays. So I did cut up most of the papers in this paper pack, and that might feel wasteful, but I am pretty good at taking the leftover bits of paper and doing other things with them, like this one idea of using the triangles after I've cut the rays as the main design element. All right, since I have that stencil in my kit, I'm going to use it to put a little bit of decoration in the background. I usually use an ink dauber for doing a white pigment ink, but I think my ink dauber had gotten damaged and thrown away. I can't quite remember. So I do pull out a handheld blending tool, and I'm going to go ahead and use that. And I'm just going to add a few spots of pattern here and there. And I lined it up in a way that I didn't really like after I started. So I'm just trying to make do with what I've got going on so that I can get enough of the pattern to just add a bit of subtle decoration to the background behind each triangle. Now notice as I'm adhering these triangles down that these triangles are a little wonky because those rays that I cut were wider on one end than the other. My triangles have a different shape to them. So I am not going to let that slow me down. I'm just going to go ahead and use them as best I can to make them look like they're lining up okay. Now you can see there's a little bit of a strange gap where the two triangles meet up, and I'm okay with that. Some of that will be kind of tucked in with the florals. I will have a journaling tag on there and other elements so that it won't be as noticeable. Now I did take this off camera and do some stitching on this, and I kind of breezed by that just because it's not showing up very well on camera. And actually even in person, it's not super noticeable. I used white thread on the craft cardstock, which I thought would show up pretty well, but it didn't as much as I thought it would. And I was trying to kind of go in along the lines of using that white ink with the stenciling to use the white thread. So that was my thinking, and it's not super noticeable, but it adds a subtle texture to the background. Now I did do like borders around my photos, and you might see all of this more in the close-up photos at the end. If you're going to stitch borders around photos, something I have learned is that the presser foot, at least on my machine, if the presser foot touches the photo at all, it causes the machine to drag and you get uneven stitches, and it even kind of ripples the photo a little bit from that dragging. So I would do a nice wide border around your photos so that your presser foot doesn't touch that texture of the photo paper and cause it to drag. Okay, as I was chatting about that, I did do some other elements on here. I put just a few embellishments around my main focal photo on the left, and I'm adding one more decoration there because this was a picture of us all having dinner together. We take a vacation, try to once a year, but now that half of our kids are off in college, it is kind of winding down because their schedules are so independent and different these days. But I'm doing the best I can to make the most of these vacation photos that we have together, and hopefully we will still continue to be tight-knit into the future. On the right-hand side here, I do have extra small photos of various things we did on the trip, and so I'm just making kind of a list style there. Oh, and I am repurposing some of the threads that I cut off from the main stitching to make a messy nest behind my tag, because I thought about pulling out a ribbon to put through the tag hole, but I've got all these cut-offs, and messy nest thread is a thing, so why not use something I was gonna otherwise throw away? So that basically wraps up that page. Here is one final idea before I get to the close-up of those photos. So when I put all those rays into the center, they definitely overlapped a lot in the middle, so I trimmed those down to make it a little bit tidier, and that gives me more pieces to try using again on yet another project. All right, so that is the idea I had for you today. Hopefully you can see a bit of the details that I didn't mention as I was chit-chatting away. And if this project inspired you in any way to try something new, drop me a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I will be back hopefully on Monday with a Mystery Box Monday project for you. So hopefully you enjoy that series that I do. And until then, I hope you have an artful day.